Our top story this morning, the United States will be offering 25 million COVID vaccine doses to prioritized nations, including India. The Biden administration's new vaccine policy is also stated to work in India's favor, clearing supply chains for the distribution of AstraZeneca's vaccine. Remember, the move comes right after Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar met with officials in the Biden administration last week. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi also spoke with US Vice President Kamala Harris over the phone to discuss the US administration's vaccine sharing strategy and the Quad vaccine initiative to fight the COVID-19 pandemic. The Indian Prime Minister also took to Twitter, thanking US Vice President Kamala Harris and to appreciate the US's assurance of vaccine supplies to India. As per Biden's statement, the United States will distribute 25 million vaccine doses to prioritized nations, 75% of which will go through UN's COVAX program. Significantly, the United States will give 6 million of these doses to nations experiencing a surge in COVID-19 infections, and these include India, Canada, South Korea, Mexico, among others. The statement also said that the US is not sharing these doses to secure favors or extract concessions, but to save lives and help bring an end to the pandemic. Apart from the United States President's vaccine sharing strategy, the Indian Prime Minister and Vice President Kamala Harris also held talks on easing kinks in the vaccine manufacturing. The US administration has gone ahead to suspend the Defense Production Act priority ratings for AstraZeneca. This decision will allow the Serum Institute of India, which manufactures both AstraZeneca and Novavax vaccines, to swiftly boost production. The move is expected to boost the supply of raw materials for vaccine manufacturers. World Health Organization Chief Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus has weighed in to say that he was very appreciative of President Biden's announcement to protect those most at risk and for encouraging others to do the same. And now, WION correspondent Jagriti Dave is joining us live from Washington, D.C. Jagriti, thank you so much for joining us. Now, Prime Minister Modi and Vice President Kamala Harris held talks. This comes after the Biden administration announced its vaccine sharing strategy, and also easing manufacturing was also discussed. What can you tell us about this?
Yeah, I think the Biden administration had come under significant pressure to share their supplies of vaccines. And remember, here in the US, we're seeing concerns of a plateauing of the US's vaccine rollout, with many Americans still unvaccinated and not considering getting a vaccine, despite the administration's recent announcement to push more Americans to get vaccine. In fact, it's this sort of hesitancy that is driving the Biden administration to try and push for Americans to get vaccines, offering a whole load of incentives, including free beer, to try to get people to get their jabs. And then Joe Biden also said to the American people in a speech yesterday that, well, you know, there are people around the world who are desperate for these jabs, and many of these countries are experiencing spikes. India is one of them, and the Biden administration, coming under significant pressure after being criticised for being slow to announce its help to other countries, has now announced that it is sharing doses of FDA-approved vaccines, including Pfizer, Moderna and Johnson & Johnson. It's also got doses of AstraZeneca vaccines, but they are waiting FDA approval.
Right, Jagriti. Now, clearing supply chains for the distribution of AstraZeneca's vaccine, as you know, this has been a bone of contention in the past as well. What can we expect on that front now?
Yeah, I think that there is clearly a movement happening to from the United States to try and start its vaccine rollout to help other countries. So I think we probably will see more movement along that front. Remember, in that tweet that Narendra Modi, the Indian Prime Minister, sent after his conversation with Vice President Kamala Harris, he also said he deeply appreciates this assurance of vaccine supplies to India, but he also thanked her for the support from the US government, businesses and Indian diaspora. Remember, there are around 4 million American Indians, many of whom have used their platform and their public profile to put that pressure on the Biden administration to do more to help India. So I think that pressure is continuing. Also the pressure to engage in diplomacy around the world to make sure that America is front and center of that effort to help the world. And as you mentioned, he said that he wasn't Joe Biden said that the United States wasn't using its vaccine rollout globally to gain favors abroad. And that was clearly a jibe at countries like Russia and China that the United States has accused of doing just that. So I think a lot is at stake with the international rollout of vaccines, especially because the World Health Organization is saying that they need more supplies for their COVAX program to make sure that vaccines are distributed equitably across the world, and that it's not just first world countries or the most developed and richest countries in the world that are getting inoculated, which currently seems to be the case.
Right, Jagriti. Now also, is there any timeline for the same? When can we expect this movement to begin?
I think at the moment it's early stages. We are seeing the first doses, those 25 million doses being shipped out to that internet, to the COVAX program, but also those doses that are going to be shared with select nations that are experiencing surges. So I think that is the focus right now. But I'm sure the administration is going to reveal more as and when we get that information.